Welcome. We're going to get started by talking about all of the different types of numbers that we're going to be working with in this class. We're going to classify each of them and then graph them on a number line. By watching these videos before we have our lecture, you're going to be ready. You're going to know what we're going to be talking about, and you're going to be prepared for discussion about the material. So let's get started. We're going to be working with real numbers. So all the numbers that we'll work with this year are real numbers. And what that means is that we can graph them on a number line. The first kind of numbers that we're going to talk about are the natural numbers. The natural numbers. And natural numbers are the set of numbers like a little kid would count. It's natural. They're going to count by, they're going to start with the number 1, 1, 2, 3, and they're going to count on as high as it can go. You will notice that there's no 0 involved in this, and there are no negative numbers. Working our way outside of the natural numbers, so the next category is going to include the natural numbers, is the whole numbers. And whole numbers start with 0, 1, 2, 3. So the only addition from natural numbers to whole numbers is the 0. Working our way out from there, we're going to talk about the integers. Now, a lot of times when we hear about integers, we think anything negative, anything positive is an integer, when in actuality, integers are negative numbers, negative whole numbers, 0, and positive whole numbers. So negative 1/2 would not be considered an integer. Negative 1/2 does not fit into the category of negative whole numbers, the number 0, and positive whole numbers. What that's going to be a part of is the numbers of rational numbers. And rational numbers are the ones that we're going to be dealing with the most in this class. Rational numbers include the integers, negative and positive whole numbers, include the whole numbers, which are 0, 1, 2, 3, and the natural numbers. And rational numbers are any number that can be written as a over. So negative 1/2, 2, 4/100. 4/100 is a rational number because it can be written as 4 over 100. All whole numbers, 9 can be written as 9 over 1. So we're going to be working mostly with rational numbers in this class. This category right here, irrational numbers. I like to think of irrational numbers like talking to an irrational person. They go on and on and on forever without repeating and without terminating. So if I look at 1/3 and I put that into my calculator, I'm going to get 0.333. That will go on for quite some time. We can put a bar over those. That repeats. We can say what number would come next. If we look at the number pi, or square root of 3, or square root of 7, something that's not an even square root, those numbers, when I put them in the calculator, are going to go on and on forever, never repeating and never terminating. This last group, which is the imaginary numbers, you won't work with imaginary numbers until Algebra 2, but it's good to know that they exist. And the most common one is going to be the square root of -1, which equals pi. Just being familiar that there are imaginary numbers is good. We will not work with imaginary numbers in this class. What I'd like to show you now is proper notation and how to graph these types of numbers. So I'm going to show you on a number line. So let's start with the easiest ones, and let's talk about natural numbers. If I wanted to talk about a set of natural numbers, so maybe I want to say the set of natural numbers that is greater than -2 and less than 4. Okay, so when I look at this, I'm going to say go to -2, and I'm going to put a parenthesis. That means that this is not going to include -2. It has to be greater than, not greater than or equal to, and less than 4. So I have those brackets there. Now, I only want to identify the natural numbers. Well, the natural numbers are the counting numbers. So I'm going to put a dot on each counting number. And this would say the natural numbers that are greater than -2 and less than 4. Let's do one now with whole numbers. Okay, so let's say whole numbers. Looking for an eraser. Whole numbers greater than or equal to 3 and less than 7. So you're going to have a very different symbol for greater than or equal to. Okay, this one is going to be a bracket. So I'm going to go to 3 and I'm going to put bracket. See that bracket? And it should go right over the line there. And less than 7. So that one's going to have a parenthesis. Okay, and I want just the whole numbers. So this one is going to include 3, because it has a bracket, 4, 5, 6. And I can list those out as the set of numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this will satisfy this equation. Now it does not include 7. You see that? Oh, this will be some notation. Okay. This is really important. This is less than and equal to, or greater than and equal to. This one is just less than or greater than. Okay? This won't include the actual number. So let's do another one. We're going to introduce another symbol here as we're working, and we're going to talk about all real numbers. Let me make sure I have a pen here that I'm drawing them. Okay. All real numbers greater than let's go -5. Now the first thing you should look at is this is greater than, not greater than or equal to. So we know we're going to have a bracket that looks like this. So it's not going to be this bracket, it's going to be the bracket that looks like a parenthesis. Okay, this would be greater than, this would be greater than or equal to, and we don't have an equal to. And what that means, essentially, is that -5 is not going to be included in our set. So we're going to go to -5 and put our parentheses. Now we want all real numbers. Holy smokes, that's going to go on forever. And like we discussed at the very beginning, real numbers are those numbers that can be graphed on a number line. So we're going to put a solid line right on top of our number line and an arrow. Okay, this means that everything that is greater than -5 is included in this set. Okay, and there's a special way to write this notation. It's actually pretty cool. So we're going to open our parentheses at -5. That's where we started. And we're going to go on to the right, well, basically forever. And when we're talking about forever in mathematics, we're talking about infinity. So we're going to take that all the way to infinity. So we're going from -5 to infinity. Now right here, we're going to need a symbol. We're going to have to close this for what's called interval notation. We're working with that a lot throughout the year. Well, if you look, can you really put a dot on infinity? I'm hoping that you thought no. So we're going to put a parenthesis because we cannot definitively put a bracket over infinity because we would have to find exactly where infinity is on the number line. Let's do another one of those. So let's talk about going in the opposite direction. Let's do one that says all real numbers. There's a really cool symbol for all real numbers. It's 2 lines, R starting at the beginning. All real numbers less than or equal to, let's go 4. Now, right when you saw this less than or equal to, you really in your mind should have said, okay, is that going to be one of those parenthesis brackets or is it going to be one of the hard brackets? And this one is going to be one of these brackets, okay? And we're going less than, so do you notice the direction? It's going to go less than. So this equation will include 4. 4 will be a part of this solution set, okay? And we want everything, every real number that's less than 4. We're going to keep going, keep going, keep going. Now, when we write our interval notation needs to look exactly like the graph. So over on this side, we have 4. It includes 4 based on this. And it's going this direction. So not to infinity, but to negative infinity. And we can't put a dot on negative infinity, so it's always going to be a parenthesis rather than this hard bracket. I hope that this gives you a really good idea of what we're going to be working on tomorrow. It will be your responsibility anytime a video is posted. I do not always require you to take notes on them, but you are always required to watch them. I look forward to starting class with you tomorrow.